Oh, there you are, YouTube. Doodle 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 doo. Subscribe if you're interested, but also no pressure. Hey, we are so close to Halloween. Like, Halloween is tomorrow. So we are counting down those days to Halloween still, and we're doing that by watching movies, horror movies, movies that take place around fall, stuff like that. So we need to head to that advent calendar that's holding all of those movies and find out what we're watching. So let's go.
Okay, October 30th. We're almost to the end. What is it? The Craft. Okay, so we're going to watch The Craft Legacy tonight because we watched The Craft last week.
Okay, just like my wife said, we already watched The Craft, and what happened was in the Advent calendar, we pulled out Craft Legacy, but we were like, we should watch these in order because we knew we put both movies in. So instead of watching Craft Legacy then, we just watched The Craft. But since we pulled The Craft today, we're watching Craft Legacy. Really excited to see it. I think it's cool to have a movie and its reboot, sequel, remake, whatever this thing is. So let's go watch it. Interesting movie. It felt for a very long time like it was a just a remake. But then I'm watching the thing and I'm thinking, but this is called Legacy. It's called Legacy. So if the word legacy is in there, it's probably a legacy sequel, right? So I don't know. I'll get into that a little bit later, but um, it really did feel very much like a remake, similar thing where you have these three witches at a school and they're looking for a fourth, and then this like new girl moves in and then walks into school, and then it's like, hey, they seem kind of powerful. Maybe they can be the fourth witch, right? So it's all very reminiscent of the original Craft, making it feel like a remake in a lot of ways. It doesn't have the 90s vibes. It has whatever today's vibes are. I guess that made it feel a little distant to me. And it also it felt like kind of like a streamer service movie. It, it wasn't, I don't know, like, yeah, or there's like a channel called like Freeform, um, like Lifetime, I think, Freeform. It felt like that sort of quality, but with like bigger actors in it, like David Duchovny's in it, and I don't know, it just I don't know, there was something about it that didn't feel like theater worthy sort of thing. So there's that. It just really felt like a made for TV sort of thing, like a made for TV movie sequel sort of thing. That's really what it felt like. Yeah. Um, and also this movie threw in some things that didn't turn into anything. This is weird because I'm saying all these bad things here, but oddly I still like enjoyed the movie. I was just like, I mean, I am clearly like aged out of it, but I was like watching it thinking, if my kids grow up and they are into this sort of stuff, I feel like this would be a fun movie for them, and I think they would like the movie. That's sort of how I was watching it, trying to think about it in from my like daughter's perspective. So I feel like it would be fun for them to watch. Like they would get into it. Just like, my sister really liked the original Craft when she was a teenager. So um, I, I, I feel like I could imagine, kids, teenagers getting into this movie. Um, this movie, one of the problems, let's go back to that problem I just started talking about. Um, this movie like throws things at you that make it that seem like they're going to be a bigger deal than they ever become, or they like serve no purpose. Like there was this one scene, I'm gonna like, I don't know, it's not really a spoiler because it has nothing to do with the movie. My guess is they tested the movie and people watched it, and they were coming out of the testing saying this wasn't scary. This wasn't scary, and I feel like it should be scary. So they just like added a horror scene in it that was scary, but it just felt so incredibly disconnected from the rest of the movie. And what ends up happening didn't go anywhere. So our main character is just like lying there in bed, and she starts, or is she lying in bed or just walking around a room? Either way, and we start seeing like a silhouette of a man, and or just some figure, and it's really freaky, it's really scary, and it's really dark. And then we get like a close up on their face, and like when you're trying to like focus in on something in the dark and you just can't see it. It's like your peripheral vision is better than just straight on, but you're trying to look at it straight on. It's like that's what she's doing, and it's a close up on the face, like like this or something. And then it's like her stepbrother, and then who's actually hiding there. It's not a ghost or anything like that, or evil spirit. And then another brother like barges in and turns on the light, and he's like, "Are you sleepwalking again?" And then pulls him out of the room. And she's the main character. She's like, "Oh, that was so scary. That was so scary." But the way it was set up was like that brother, that oldest stepbrother, is going to have a larger part in this movie, and he's like maybe stalking her or something like that. Or maybe he actually is sleepwalking. But why is he sleepwalking? Is he possessed? What's going on? And it just kind of seemed like stuff was going to happen with that, and nothing did happen. So we don't know if he actually sleepwalks. We don't know if he's stalking her. And they do give a reason to where maybe he could be stalking her, but he didn't continue to stalk her after that. So, um, yeah, it was just like, I really do think an audience was tested, and they walked out saying, this is not scary enough. So the filmmakers were like, well, we better add a horror scene. So they did, and nothing happens with it. And it's just like, okay. Also, David Duchovny is in this, and this is probably the easiest paycheck he's ever had. I feel like he's just standing in one spot. There's really he has nothing to do but stand and recite lines, and that's pretty impressive considering how important his character eventually becomes in the movie. It's like, wow, I can't believe you got away with that. Like, there's actually a scene where he's kind of like, so he's not moving anyway in this movie. He's just standing around. And there's a scene where the earth like comes up, and then like he gets like stuck in it like quicksand, and it's like, did you really even need the quicksand to keep this guy in one spot? He wasn't moving at all. Now, I still love David Duchovny. Met David Duchovny. Really, he liked my mustache. He liked it. He said I look like Raleigh Fingers. Um, and love him. Love the X-Files. He's great. One of my faves. But they didn't give him anything to do except stand around and say words. And it was just funny when he gets stuck in some like quicksand, and he's not moving, because it's like, well, he wasn't moving anyway. So yeah. Also, I can't think of her name, and I feel really bad. I want to say like Michelle Monaghan or something like that, but I don't think that's correct. Maybe it is. But like Tom Cruise's wife in the Mission Impossible movies, she's in it. She does well. I like her in it. She's not in it much. It's mostly the kids. Should I get into spoilers here? So spoilers. So talked about how, as I was watching, I was like, what is this? Is this a remake, a reboot, a and like or a sequel, or what? And it really does feel like a remake, just a retelling, a reboot. I don't know. I don't even know what reboot means, honestly. Are they connected to the originals or no? But it feels almost like an updated remake, like a remake but updated for today rather than the 90s, right? And things start happening where you're realizing our main character is adopted, and she has powers and stuff. And then they're like, why? She didn't know she was adopted, and she's finding out. And then the mom's like, oh, I promised I'd never say. And then things just start bubbling up information wise, and then you're like, wait a second, I bet she's the daughter of one of the original witches from the original movie. And that is the case. So spoilers. It is Fairuza Balk. I think I said her name right. I was having a tough time saying her name when I was reviewing The Craft, the original film. I was butchering that name so much, but she's the daughter. She's the daughter of that character, and the movie just kind of ends of her going into that hospital where we see her at the end of the original movie. She walks in and she's like, "Who are you?" And we aren't seeing her. We just like hear, "Who's there?" or whatever. And she's like, "Or who are you?" And she's like, "I'm your daughter." And then we see her like, see her. She's like this maybe, and then she just kind of like looks over like that, and it's like, oh, and then you get all excited because it's like, are we setting up a sequel, a part three or something? But based on the ratings, I don't even know. This might have been probably a flop. Also, probably no sequel is going to happen, but I wouldn't mind it. I I think I don't know. Adding that extra scene, it was scary, but it felt out of place. Heavy hitters like David Duchovny didn't have much to do. Um, some of the magic in this one is a little extra CGI glittery, but I think it still works. But it feels a little bit more like cutesy. Um, but I don't know. I still liked it enough, and I think my kids will like it when they're teenagers, maybe, or I don't know. Might be too old for them by the time they're grown, but I don't know. I didn't hate it, and it wasn't as bad as I was expecting. It wasn't as bad as I was expecting, but it's pretty like plain, It's just kind of it's plain. It's not. It doesn't feel special. There you go. It's nice. It's an easy watch. Very much a good background movie, and it's not. It doesn't feel special at all. Um, but maybe it will down the road for the nostalgists of this era, like the '90s one. Like that was a first time watch for me, finally seeing it. But there's still a nostalgia there because it's of my time, of my era. It makes me yearn for the '90s. Um, but anyway, did you see the Craft Legacy? And if so, what did you think of it? Which do you prefer, Craft or Craft Legacy? I'd love to know. I'd love to know all of that. What was the deal with that weird scene, that horror scene? Do you think it was just added due to audience testing? I don't know. But I think this is a very easy watch, and I would recommend it for that if you're just like looking for something sort of backgroundy, half pay attention to. I paid attention to it, but I'm saying it's a great movie for half paying attention to. And I thought all the kids were great too. They didn't seem like bad actors. I mean, maybe they're not kids. They might just look young, probably in their 20s, just playing high schoolers. But I thought they were all are good actors, and I think actually the main one is who's going to be Priscilla Presley in the new Elvis movie. Actually, I don't think it's an Elvis movie. I think it's a Priscilla movie because the movie's called Priscilla. Sofia Coppola's directing. So yeah, I don't know. I was pleasantly surprised with this movie, even with as negative as I may sound. Pleasantly surprised, and I could watch this easily as a background movie. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. I'd love to know in the comments below, and perhaps I'll see you tomorrow for more Pure Hangout.